It's a refrain most of us have heard in our households, and we've also probably said it. Just eat your dinner. From kids who only want mac and cheese or chicken nuggets to kids who won't even touch a vegetable or meat, millions of American parents, including this one, have struggled with picky eaters. This seems, though, to be a recent phenomenon, let's say the last 50 years. So why was it that kids decades ago ate what they were given and our kids demand something different? Well, we're going to ask another smart parent, our Dr. Mallika Marshall, who joins us now. What is feeding this non-eating or picky eating craze?
Okay, so you compared it to the Victorian era. I mean, think about it. Kids basically did what they were told, right? These days, we want our kids to make choices. We want them to be independent. We want to give them options. And so we are sort of reaping what we have sowed. Plus, there are a lot more snacks than there were in the Victorian era, right? You had breakfast, lunch, dinner, you sat with your family. Now there's just food readily available everywhere you turn, and a lot more processed foods, which means that kids are tempted by things that they weren't tempted by before.
And in some cases, this starts early. I mean, I remember when my son was very little, he would eat anything. If I gave him something, he would try it. And then he reached a point, I think when he was a toddler, where all of a sudden he was digging in. So when does this start, and why does it start when it does?
In toddlerhood, just like you said.
Toddlers.
Because toddlers are very busy, right? They're exploring, they're exploring their environment. They don't have time to eat. I don't have time for that. Plus, they're exerting their own free will, right? They're learning independence. They can finally tell a grown-up, no, I'm not going to do it, and basically hold them to it. And, you know, they are developing their food preferences. So one day you might notice that your toddler loves pickles, and then all of a sudden they hate pickles, and they want to eat potato chips and nothing else. So it's that time.
Okay, so when you're in that scenario, what do? I mean, how do you get them to eat at least some of the things that you know are important, even if they're refusing them?
Okay, so first of all, you want to offer healthy food choices. So toddlers tend to graze, and so you want to make sure that the foods that you are putting out that they can choose from are healthy. You know, put out a couple of likable snacks here and there, but put out some apple slices, or maybe put out some carrots and some yogurt, or things that you know are going to be nutritious that they also are going to be find appealing. And don't make it a big battle. Like the more you fight with your toddler over something, you're both going to lose. So just take a deep breath, give them options, and then step back and let them go.
Let's go into the future then. You have older kids, and you also want them to make good choices, because it almost feels like the stakes are a little higher. They're more independent. They're out of the house more. How do you reinforce that what you put into your body really does make a big difference?
So you want to model good behavior. And one way to do that is to actually have family meals, which a lot of us don't do that much as often as we used to. But at least make a point several times a week to sit down as a family, turn off the television, which we're sometimes guilty of, and just have a conversation and eat without necessarily talking about the food, but just making it communal. Also, resist the urge to cook special foods for certain kids.
I was just going to ask you about that. Okay.
And I have one of those very, very picky eaters. There are literally 5 things that he will eat and nothing more. But they do say, offer at least one thing in the meal that the child likes or will eat. So it doesn't mean if, you know, they only eat pasta or they only eat pizza that you always offer meatloaf. I mean, maybe you can do meatloaf with some pasta on the side, so that at least there is one thing there that they might want to eat. Also, keep trying new foods, because sometimes it takes 10, 15, 20 times for a child to see a food before they're willing to taste it. They may not like it in the end, but at least they're going to try it. And you can use different spices to make things interesting. And then, really important is not to bribe or negotiate. So don't use dessert as a reward, which we all do, right? If you eat those carrots, you can have some dessert. But then it elevates dessert into this thing that they want and crave so badly. Instead of offering, what you should do is just offer dessert a few times a week and not make it a nightly thing.
Oh, I just got him to eat his carrots by saying, yes, you can have the popsicle.
Okay, then ignore everything I just said.
But I know
it works.
I know you're right. And last question, do you force your kids to at least try new things?
I have tried to do that, and I have ended up with vomit under the table. So it's really about offering them new things. Don't force them, encourage them. Sometimes they suggest putting a picky eater next to a more adventurous eater. So if you have several children and one eats a lot of things and one doesn't, just constantly put them together so he sees that his sister is actually trying different things. But it's all about options, not fighting, not negotiating, and just sort of letting them do their thing.
And healthy behavior, modeling healthy behavior.
There you go.
Excellent. Doctor, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bon appetit, everybody.